Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on these Grant Worldwide Pro Fight gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on these Grant Worldwide Pro Fight gloves. I got mine in one of their two stock colorways, which is going to be red with black and white. They also have their other classic colorway with black with red and white, so it's basically just a reverse of the colorways. It is a Pro Fight glove, so only comes in lace up, and I got mine in 10 ounces. You can get this glove in 8 ounces as well. Now, Grant really needs no introduction. To me, they're a staple of the boxing community. Just on name recognition alone, they're right up there with Winning, Reyes, and Everlast when it comes to the big hitters of the boxing equipment world. And you know, I still remember back in the early 2000s, particularly 2004, when Roy Jones Jr. fought Antonio Tarver in their first fight. And if I can recall, other than Jones getting knocked out, which was a surprise to a lot of people, I still remember Jones had a gray pair of Grants on, and I think Tarver had a pair of like navy blue or royal blue Grants that he wore. And from there on, you started to really see Grant become more popular in the boxing community, particularly with the pro boxers. And I feel that Grants have really evolved, not only with the look of their gloves, but also the manufacturing. I believe they probably have used different manufacturers in Mexico over the years. And I think it was around 2009, 2010, I even recall them selling their gloves or distributing and selling their gloves to Ringside. And I believe their training gloves, which were made in Mexico, were selling for like $149 or $200 at the time. I still have an old Ringside catalog. I got to go look at it. And which is crazy, would be today at today's prices, which would be crazy cheap for, you know, a pair of Grants, $200. I mean, they'd be sold out within like 10 minutes. So it's crazy to see how much the company's evolved. You know, there's a couple things about Grant that a lot of people don't like, the fact they don't have a real website. So if you're looking to buy yourself a pair of Grants, you really have only a couple of ways to do it. You know, the main way, if you want to do it directly through Grant, is contacting them through email, sales@grantworldwide.com. You can check out their social media, Instagram, Facebook, and see what they have to offer, or get ideas from their colorways. The other way is really secondhand through like eBay, or if you know somebody that has a couple of pairs that they're selling secondhand. That's really the only way to do it. And to me, that's really kind of the Grant business model. They don't want to oversaturate the market with their equipment. It's kind of like the supply and demand model. So, you know, it kind of keeps the value of these gloves high and the quantity of them low. So it's pretty rare that you'll be at the gym and you'll actually see somebody with a pair of Grant boxing gloves on. You're more than often, you're going to see somebody wearing Reyes or Winning, or obviously Everlast, because they're much more cheaper than you would with Grant. So it's a pretty rare occurrence that you do see a pair of Grants in the gym. Unless you go to a gym where there's a lot of pros, then you might see more Grants, but in that regard, you really don't typically see just the regular day-to-day people that are training in boxing wearing Grants. With that being said, they are a beautiful glove. One thing I'll admit about Grants is just the aesthetics of Grants is some of the best you'll ever see. Their colorways, I think they do an amazing job with the styling of the glove, the way they look. If you do go to their Instagram and their Facebook, I mean, the gloves on there just look fantastic. And I think they're kind of the benchmark when it comes to that. I think they look better just aesthetically than Winning. They're one of the best looking gloves out there. So I think that really adds to the allure of Grant boxing gloves and what makes them so attractive, outside of them being just a very rare glove to begin with, and why people really want to get their hands on these gloves. So with that being said, these are their Pro Fight gloves. They are handmade in Mexico, full genuine cowhide leather that they utilize with this particular glove. When it comes to a Pro Fight glove, these are definitely one of the more compact Pro Fight gloves that they have. One thing about the padding is that I feel like this is balanced. I believe that Grant can give you really a different variety of padding. If you do email them and order something from them, you'll notice that the prices jump up pretty drastically in terms of the materials they use in the colorway. So if you go with anything that's not their stock color, that's going to make the price jump up a couple $100s. If you go with like any kind of crazy material like crocodile leather or snake skin or whatever, metallics, that's really going to make the price jump up. Then if you start asking for any kind of like orthopedic padding, any kind of custom padding, again, that'll make the price go up as well. I mean, I've seen grants in the thousands when it comes to pricing, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think they use a combination of layered or latex foam, and I'm not too sure, but it almost feels and it's almost like sounds like when you press on the hand compartment that they may have horsehair in here. Maybe I'm wrong, but it almost feels that way. But I'd say that this is a hair more protective than a full-out puncher's glove like an Everlast MX style glove. To me, that's really, really too soft. This is definitely a little bit more stiffer than that, so you get more protection and is more protective if you have hand injuries, if you're planning on using these as a pro fight glove. The leather itself is beautiful. It has a kind of a glossy finish to it, and I believe they put some kind of like waterproof repellent on it when you first get the gloves. You'll notice that they have a very strong leather smell to it. The iconic Grant logo. And a lot of you guys were kind of laughing when I posted the unboxing and I mentioned that the logo is basically a person with their boxing gloves on. So that's his head, his body, his arm. That looks like he's kind of like throwing a hook, and his other hand by his face to protect his chin. So the newer style Grants, aside from the triple thumb design, which I believe they say is patented, I think they color match the gloves to the glove itself, the main color. I think the older Grant fight gloves, this was black like the rest of the logo. So the logo on here is black and silver with the red gloves. Coming down to the cuff, their fight gloves are always going to be a flat cuff. I don't think Grant makes any other style of cuff when it comes to their fight gloves. Another great detail you'll notice is it does come with a cloth patch, but they put like almost like a piece of patent leather over it, and it kind of gives that really shiny, beautiful look. And it's not so much a concern, because if you're using this in a sanctioned fight, what they end up doing is they end up taping this entire section off anyway. So this is all pretty much taped off when you put these gloves on, and it goes through the athletic commission and they sign off on the glove. So this pretty much gets covered. It says Grant, made in Mexico, with that patent leather, which I think looks super clean and just gives it that nice shiny high-end look. You have the weight tag right there. It says 10 ounces. You have white piping at the bottom. Like all authentic Grants, it shows the Grant label, so it shows made in Mexico. You also have, the warning label, cautionary tag. Nice smooth satin liner on the inside. The back of the wrist, again, is a fight glove, so there's not going to be a lot of emphasis when it comes to wrist support. But you do have maybe almost a half inch of padding on the back of your wrist. On the inside, you have about maybe a quarter, maybe an eighth of an inch up to right about here where the thumb piping is, as well as on this side as well. You have that. You have nice long white laces, white stitching, white piping on the palm. You'll notice that the palm opening on these gloves is pretty large, and what that allows you to do is have obviously your hands wrapped up, but it doesn't choke your hand out when you put it on the inside. Really nice large grip bar, ventilated holes on the thumb, as well as a white attached thumb right there. One thing you'll notice about the glove, quality wise, it's awesome. I mean, the leather to me is probably the biggest thing that stands out. Then the next thing would be probably the little details, like the patent leather cover over the cloth patch. Obviously the logo looks great. Their triple thumb design, which is patented. From a legal standpoint, I know that there's other companies that have copied this, and Grant has said they patented it, so I'm not too sure what the implications of that is when it comes to another business using that triple thumb design. So it is what it is in that regard, but I think that looks clean, black, white, and red. The thumb looks good. The leather looks really great. The symmetry with the stitching is super clean. Again, the leather just looks really nice. It's supple, and it's really high grade quality leather. It's thick. The stitching looks really good overall. The finger compartment looks good, bonded nicely to the foam. The foam doesn't have any imperfections. Where the hinge point is, where the back of the cuff meets the back of the glove looks good. The piping looks clean. Everything looks good. Weight is on point. I believe these gloves were both weighed in at 9.7 ounces. So maybe, 0.3 ounces underweight. So again, I'm not too sure when it comes to, a sanctioned bout, how much they allow leeway they give for a glove being off on weight, but they're right at 9.7 ounces. I will say that I remember my winning gloves were exactly on weight. So, they're about 0.3 ounces off, but again, really negligible in that regard. When it comes to weight, it's very minimal, but they're exactly on weight with each other. But outside of that, I mean, if we want to nitpick, I guess you can say like just little areas like that where you can see kind of the stitching pulling on the leather, and maybe right here at the little U-turn where the thumb is at. But outside of that, everything else about this glove is a very premium feel to it. Comfort, outside of the leather, probably my next favorite thing is going to be just how comfortable the gloves are. They feel like a glove, and you put your hand in here, extremely well broken in from the get-go. You're going to open and close your hand with relative ease. I think Grant is kind of the pioneer of the comfortable thumb, the oversized, comfortable parallel thumb. And you can see it. I mean, when you look at the glove, it's almost like a third of the glove is the thumb, just from a sizing standpoint. You can see how just big that thumb is. And what that does, for a 10-ounce glove, because you're going to be having heavyweights use these gloves as well, is it gives you that comfort factor, especially when you have hand wraps on that. You have the right amount of depth, right amount of padding on the back of your thumb for protection, and it's just overall comfortable. The hand positioning is perfect. It has a nice piece of felt on the inside right here too, so you don't feel any kind of stitching, and that's covered all the way through. It's nice, has a nice amount of width, it's not too narrow, so your fingers can go nice and deep, and you can really make a nice tight fist. You can feel that grip bar that you can really grip onto when you're making a fist. So comfort is optimal with this glove. Wrist support, it's pretty much the same as any other fight glove, to be honest with you, in terms of wrist support. You're really looking at your hand wraps doing the major work with fight gloves on. So if you're looking at using this as primarily as a bag glove and you have hand or wrist injuries, then you're just going to want to make sure that you really wrap your hands up very well before you use these gloves. But outside of that, the liner feels good. No bunching up of the liner. Feels very smooth. The inside liner on the thumb feels good. But overall, I just love the way these feel. Super comfortable, nice tight fist, and overall a very comfortable glove. Protection and performance. These are an excellent mitt glove. For the heavy bag, not too bad. I mean, for me, just on cost alone of these gloves, if I were going to use these on heavy bag, this Ringside Apex bag is a little bit more on the dense side. It has a softer outside layer, but once you start compressing really into this heavy bag, you'll really feel it start to really harden up. And for gloves like this, especially at the price point, you want to preserve fight gloves, especially expensive ones like these Grant. So if you are going to use them for heavy bag work, I would recommend using them for a much softer feel heavy bag. That way you don't break down the inside foam as quickly. Or mitt work. And for mitt work, they're phenomenal. You can see you get that excellent flat punch surface. You land on just two front knuckles. You get excellent crack out of these gloves. I mean, you can really feel your shots landing. Shock absorbent is okay. Shock absorbency is okay. It's right in the middle, a little bit more on the puncher side. So again, if you have maybe a knuckle bruise or something that's hurting your knuckles, and you're insistent on getting these gloves and using them, maybe supplement your hands with a gel pad or something along those lines. That way you can give yourself a little bit more protection over the knuckle area. But I would definitely be aware of that when it comes to the shock absorption over the knuckle area. Cost-wise, these gloves are about $400. And I know that Grant has recently kind of raised the price up. I think they were like $395. Their training gloves are more expensive than their fight gloves. But I would reach out to sales at Grant Worldwide to confirm that, to see what the pricing is. I know that pricing with inflation, everything has kind of gone up, so that may have changed. And if you do order these, the authentic ones from Grant, they're gonna come from California. And make sure that you're getting an authentic pair. I would be very mindful of eBay or any of these other sellers from Pakistan that make knockoff version of these, that you don't get ripped off. So the best way to go about it to make sure you're getting an authentic pair is go through sales@grantworldwide.com, or shoot them a DM on Instagram or Facebook. That way you can ensure that you're really paying for the real deal and not you're getting yourself a knockoff pair of these gloves. For me, when it comes to glove, it's subjective. You know, people will say, well, are they worth it? Are they worth the price? Are they worth $400? Well, that really is up to you. I mean, you know, I say the same thing to people that buy expensive shoes. You can go to you know, Walmart and get yourself a pair of $20 shoes, or you can get yourself a $300-400 pair of you know, Jordans or whatever brand name sneakers. And it might not make sense to some people, but it might make sense to others. So it's really up to you. Are the gloves great? I think they're great gloves. If I didn't have the budget or the price to pay for these, I would definitely go for an alternative like a Leaders USA. I would go something with that's a little bit more, very similar to these, but just more affordable, Salvador in that regards. If you're looking to really treat yourself and you're really hung up on getting a pair of Grants, then by all means, it's your money. Spend it how you want. You know, get yourself a pair, enjoy them, and see how you like them. But one good thing about these is that from a value standpoint, they really hold their value. I feel like you know, with Grants, you can, and again, it comes to not oversaturating the market with these gloves, and that's why they hold their value. But overall, I'm very satisfied with these. They perform admirably. I love the way they look and the way they feel. So definitely excited with these gloves and very happy with them. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Grant Pro Fight gloves. I'll see you guys later. Take care.